Welcome to the Somos Sunnyside podcast, brought to you by the Office of Public Information, where we are sharing stories about the bright side of education.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. I'm your proud superintendent, Jose Gastelum, and we have a very special guest here today. We want to definitely highlight these amazing stories that are occurring in our district. I want to wish everyone a happy new year as we're back, second semester, hitting the ground running. And so our special guest today is Daniel Gastelum. So, how are you, Daniel?
I'm doing good. Los Encheñabo, Skuktash, Yate. Hello, all my Native Indigenous folks listening, tuning in. Hello, Sunnyside. It's a pleasure to be here, blessing to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that awesome introduction to our listeners out there. And I'm just going to start with clearing the air right away, Daniel, because I know people are probably thinking right now, is he related to Mr. Gastelum, right? Because, although you have a super cool last name and you spell it correctly, Gastelum with one L,
right?
There's no relationship out there, right?
No relationship that we know of so far.
That we know of, right? I mean, being from this community, everybody's related to each other, but no relation. So those people that had some negative thoughts out there in terms of nepotism, in terms of, he got hired because he's related. Nope, Daniel got hired because he is qualified and he's leading our Native American education program. And that's, Daniel's title. He's the coordinator of the Native American education program here at Sunnyside. So let's talk about that a little bit. So Daniel, let's start off with, tell us a little bit about yourself, your experiences and how you got here, right? I think everybody has that journey of, and those passions of what they love to do. And we're very blessed to be able to have, our Native American education program serving, our Native students and families and all our students. So let's start with that.
Well, thanks for the intro. Like Mr. Gastelum said, my name is Daniel Gastelum II. No relation from what we understand, but who knows, by the end of this, we might find or identify some type of connection. But yeah, I am your new Native American Education Coordinator working for Sunnyside Unified District. Formerly, prior to this, I've really worked my way up the ranks here the past 4 or 5 years, supporting our Native American Education program. My whole career out of college, I am a Wildcat graduate, was really supporting tribal Native Indigenous youth communities. Right out of college, I kind of fell back in within my community. So I am also enrolled Pascua Yaqui, Yoeme, depending on how you like to be politically correct. I jumped in education, not knowing really what I was going to do. I was kind of just, I dedicated myself to educating myself. I figured I was going to take a year off, but my father and my family were quickly on me to be like, you really need to apply yourself, because if not, who knows, you're going to catch a case, you're going to be running these streets, there goes your education, you're not going to be able to do nothing. So I heard those words and they internalized in me, and naturally I went back to my community to give back to them because they funded me my education. They were always a support. I always knew in the back of my mind there were always a plan B. So right out of college I fell back. I was a tutor for the GED education program within the Pascua Yaqui community, New Pascua, for, I want to say almost a year. It wasn't until after a while they're like, hey, you're here volunteering time. Why not apply for a position? You're more than well qualified. You have the education. And sure enough, the door opened for me to be actually a GED instructor. So probably my first job right out of college, starting off my career, was supporting my community in their adult education, continuing education program, those pursuing GEDs. And it's a variety, ages. It was a 16 age requirement up to adults, elders that were coming back to get their education. Quickly, immediately after that, the opportunity to be a GED counselor presented itself. So I have a bachelor's in psychology from the University of Arizona. With that, I figured, why not be a counselor? Why not be supporting those career conversations or next steps after they complete their GED. So I kind of held that role and those roles for about 10 years. To eventually another door opened up within my community. We were out a K-20 program coordinator. And for those that don't know, you hear K-12, which is essentially what we are as a district, but in the education around K-20 refers to higher education, ongoing scholarship offices and all that good stuff. So within my community, not only was it K-12 support, it was also overseeing our higher education assistance program, essentially our scholarship program within that role. So I took on the challenge. I answered the call. I fell into that role for about 5 years, supporting my community once again, overseeing K-12 activities, K-20 auditing and approvals and processes for our future college graduates and all that good stuff. And it wasn't until like at the end of those 5 years, I was really kind of, I don't know, I hit like kind of a wall or ceiling, if you will, within my community. And it was time for a change, I felt. And ironically enough, Sunnyside was there and it was going through a change. My predecessor, shout out to Ernesto Badilla, would come around collaborating with myself and the office, because prior to that, in that role, I worked with the district as a third party kind of representative. Consultations, if you will, take place with the tribes and our tribal communities in partnership and strengthening our relations. So I worked with past coordinators, Kevin Fortune, shout out Kevin, him here. So I always had that connection within our districts. It wasn't always Sunnyside. It was pretty much any district that served a Yaqui Oeme youth, K-12 student. They would kind of come back and report to us. And I was that guy that was, advocating, making sure our students were being taken care of, making sure funds were being spent accordingly on that outside perspective. But like I said, at the end of those 5 years, looking for a change, needing to kind of step away, I found myself here in the district. Thank you to Mr. Badilla. Thank you to all of them. I did start off as a coordinator. So as a student advisor, with the NAEP office for about 4 years. Another door opened up. I know we talk a lot. Sunnyside Cats, shout out to our partnership and all our partners. More doors opened up, became a coordinator, supporting them for our indigenous kind of layer of that partnership that in the past couple of years has been developed and evolved. And here I am now. The big door opened up for me to take the reins of this district program.
Big door, big responsibilities, right? And
exactly.
So, we're glad you're here with us. We're glad that you landed here in Sunnyside. I think you bring up a very valid point here, and a key point when you talk about, giving back to your community. I think a lot of our educators, a lot of our adults in this community, always find a way to come back to the community and give back, right? Because and we do it because that was done for us. That
Right.
was done for us. We have those individuals that we looked up to, those individuals that motivated us to go in a positive direction. And here we are in our professional careers, giving back to a community that gave us so much. And so, it's awesome that you're here. I love that you have the approach of being a learner, right? We're lifelong learners here.
Yep.
There's no hierarchy in learning. And it's all about providing our students with the best possible experiences they can have, and the same to our families. And so, talk a little bit about your team, and name who they are. Our Native American education program, you're the coordinator, you oversee the entire department, and we have 6 advisors who are amazing
Correct.
individuals, who are passionate individuals just like you, and wanting to serve all students, and in this case, definitely our Native students. And so talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go from there.
So Sunnyside's Native American education program is responsible for supporting all of our identified tribal indigenous youth within the district. Just like Mr. Gastelum mentioned, we have 6 advisors that I am happy to say we are fully staffed within the program, because that's kind of something that comes with the program, turnover, and making sure that we have the ultimate all-star team to provide those unique services and resources, as well as bridging those connections between our Sunnyside community as well as those tribal communities that we are extremely close to. So shout out to our Tohono O'odham, San Javier, Pascua Yaqui communities, which we reside on their lands, and essentially we're in their communities, in their backyard, supporting that. But all tribal youth, because we support more than those two communities here within our district. We have Arapaho, we have Apache, we have Navajo. Not large percentages, but they are here. And it's an awesome experience to be able to connect and meet all those different types of tribal backgrounds that, make up our district. Of the 6 advisors, I got to run down the list and make sure I don't forget any of them. We have Mr. Chris Villegas, who is over at Sunnyside, our high school advisor, as well as he supports Sierra, and Apollo, some middle school kind of transition bridging that we're applying. Miss Felicia Espinosa, who is our Desert View advisor, as well as Loffer, Craycroft, and some other sites that were assigned. Miss Edie Semacarillo, which kind of oversees middle and elementary. We have Miss Serena Patino over holding down Santa Clara, as well as kind of some elementary sites. Logan Foster, new to the team, also has been with us for about 2-3 years. And then our newest staff member, Miss Maria Lopez, who is no stranger to the district. She's been here before. She's actually alumni also, holding it down. And, she's also supporting kind of our middle elementaries. As you can tell, we have a big task at hand because there's only 6 advisors plus me, 7, to hold down the district, which is all 21 school sites, in addition to serving roughly, we're just shy of about 1,100 Native Indigenous youth that represent our district. That it goes to our goal of what we do. We're here to identify, here to connect them to services, support them to our program, and make sure that we meet our profile, which is college, community, career ready. So it's unique.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and we've been holding on to those numbers for a few years now. I know we've been right around 1,100 for the last several years. So very happy that we're maintaining those numbers and not losing students, in that area, in that space. And so I do want to give a big thank you to our communities, our Native communities, San Javier District, also known as WAC, our Tohono O'odham Nation, Pascua Yaqui Tribe. They're just been such amazing partners, and part of our community to work with. And I really enjoy having conversations and having discussions with them. And one of the things I love about, our communities is how we celebrate diversity, how we celebrate culture. And so talk a little bit about some of the interactions that you have with our communities, some of the events, some of the celebrations, because that's important. It's
right.
Super important to recognize that, and we want the rest of the community to know, mm-hmm. right, and be familiar with the culture and some of these special events that take place, and go from there. So tell us a little bit about it as we learn more and more about each other.
Right. So I think the biggest task is that just ensuring visibility for our communities as well as our students is always kind of on my radar, in the back of my mind. Identifying what services, what, like you had mentioned, events, what community interactions are happening, so that we as a Sunnyside community can either support or bridge those supports or kind of our communities. Starting in this position, it's a funny kind of way to think of things, but I am truly blessed to be able to walk in different communities that I know a lot of times we get focused, and we forget that we're surrounded by outside communities, representing Sunnyside Unified School District being the number 1 community as, an employee, as, the education program. But as Mr. Gastelum mentioned, our WAC community is less than a couple miles away. You take Valencia straight up, and then you adventure into New Pascua, our Pascua Yaqui Oeme community, and to understand and realize that they are their own sovereign nations and communities where, as he was kind of alluding to, that they have their events, they have their ceremonies, they have resources that students sometimes aren't aware of, sometimes disconnected to. And, part of our goal is to emphasize or kind of strengthen those and, remind them that these things that happen. Both of our communities, I'm blessed to work with their education department. So shout out to Miss Carmen, as well as our Pascua Yaqui education department, who's always there, and their staff are always there to support if there's referrals or kind of additional need, because we truly tackle our work as kind of a family unit where we understand that, yes, we are the district, but at times, sometimes we need that community support to get through to families or make extra connections. So supporting their own parent task force, supporting their own family reading nights, fall, winter break activities, programming that they might offer. That's one thing I know coming from the community and understanding that you can pretty much bet that anytime we're off, our communities are looking to create programming or activities to continue to keep their youth engaged. So helping with those signups and referrals and registrations, and as well as just strengthening supports and resources, acknowledging and understanding that they have their ceremonies. They also have, their losses, and respecting that, and, just being an open ear as well as support where we can be, is, I think, the biggest, purpose of what we're here to do, being a liaison, in between all these kind of communities, walking in all these different worlds, walking into, a tribal community world versus, our Sunnyside community world, taking different hats and kind of lenses. So.
All right. Well, we're going to break. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back with some more information, and as we're learning a lot about, our Native communities here. So we'll be right back.
Sunnyside students can have it all, learning and growing to graduate college, career, and community ready. Don't believe us? Just watch. At Sunnyside Unified School District, we are preparing our graduates with real-world skills and experiences. Our graduates are leaving Sunnyside to pursue an Ivy League education, becoming collegiate-level athletes, and earning prestigious scholarships such as the Gates Millennium, Dell, and Dorrance.
All right, so thank you for that, Mr. Gastelum. I mean, I think, one of the things, I want to just talk about, and I'm going to name drop here a little bit. I know it's not ever a good idea to start name dropping because you forget individuals, but, I often remember how certain individuals made me feel. And, I think when I was the principal at Desert View High School, definitely working with our leaders of our communities. I remember how they opened the door for me, right, to learn about our Native communities, and definitely want to give these individuals a shout out because I looked up to them as mentors. I looked up to them as people that just were, just so knowledgeable, right, and I was like this young leader just trying to learn, and because I wanted to make sure that we were serving all our students, in the right way. And so, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Austin Nunez and Mr. Jerry Carlisle, who, I worked with, there in San Javier and representing the Tohono O'odham, nation. And so also for Pascua Yaqui tribe, Mr. Peter Yucupicio, these individuals always open their doors to me and definitely to our students. And I used to love when they used to visit our campus and just seeing the interactions, right? And the wisdom and the knowledge that they brought and how well they were respected by the youth. And so it was just neat to see, and I never forget that. And I want to give them a big shout out. And I know I'm forgetting some other individuals, but and if I forgot you, I apologize. But just making me feel welcomed, right. And I was just a young leader trying to serve our students well. And so tell us, one of the things I want to hit on is this: our Native students have performed very well, over the last several years, consistently well over the last several years. And I know this started with Mr. Badia, and you're continuing it, just keeping data on our students. And when we talk about, attendance, we talk about academic performance, we talk about safe and orderly data. They're right there. I mean, they're doing an amazing job of trying to be college, career, and community ready, right?
Right.
We also talk about identity, purpose, and agency. So they're developing that. They're developing a strong sense of their identity. They're developing these pieces of purpose to achieve what they want in their lives. And so one of my favorite events of the year is when we have our senior night. We do a Native American Education Program senior night, which is such a memorable night to celebrate the accomplishments of our youth, but also spending that time with the families, right? And I'm not going to sit here and lie. I mean, the food's amazing as well, right? We get some amazing food that represents our cultures and the diversity as mentioned. But what is your, first of all, tell me a little bit about that. Because I want individuals to know that our students are doing a really nice job, academically and preparing themselves, for whatever they choose to pursue. Tell us a bit about that, and what is your message to the community out there, right? What is your message to our community, to our parents in terms of the program?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a tough. Well, I guess to start off with, yes, our senior banquet is every year. Typically, our district has or yields roughly about 60 to 70 seniors that is represented from all of our 3 high schools, Star, Sunnyside, Desert View. On average, we average around like 36 to 40 seniors every year. With that, like you said, identifying, monitoring those student profiles, supporting them for those next step conversations on what's going to happen, being a past employee or member of the CATS partnership, identifying and seeing those gaps in data of knowing that we need to push more tribal scholars was fun. And since then, and identifying areas, we challenge ourselves. We continue to be resilient. And I think that's the biggest message of just any Native Indigenous youth is that we're resilient. We go through a lot. There's always a lot going on. But at the end of the day, if we are challenged and we identify the end goal, it can be met. Whatever the path may be, it's just essentially developing those conversations, developing those voices, instilling that agency in our students has, I think, been a big task for our youth. At times, we are having to kind of break traditional teachings of, what we're heard in oral tradition, where we come from through our communities. Sometimes it does feel like we're stepping on a whole different planet, leaving the communities, our communities, coming out to the outside district and, the south side as alone. You'll be amazed if you have certain conversations where there's some families you run into that sometimes never leave their communities. They never go past, Valencia and Cardinal, or they maybe never pass Valencia and Mission, certain times like that. So it is a change. It is sometimes can be culture shock, ironically enough. But at the end of the day, we're no different than any other student. We do have our unique backgrounds, our unique traditions, our unique family units. But at the end of the day, if we are given the chance and we're given the opportunity, we can excel, we can achieve, we can do anything. And I think the existence of our communities and people alone just prove that, of how over the centuries, no matter what's come and gone, we continue to exist as people. And we continue to be present and continue to push on, like you said, those identities, our culture, who we are. So,
yeah, well said. And my message to families out there, to parents out there is come pay us a visit, right? I mean, right. Let's talk. I mean, our doors are open. We want to show you the great things that are occurring in Sunnyside and the great support services that are here. for our families, for our students. We'd love to have you. So don't hesitate to reach out and visit our campuses. And as we close here, Mr. Gastelum, what is your message to the youth? A message to these up and coming students, some of the students that are just starting, at that elementary level, but also those that are making those transitions from elementary to middle, from middle to high, from high to post-secondary education. What is your message to them?
I think the biggest message is don't give up. Continue to push, continue to be resilient, continue to represent your families, your communities in the positive light that we know or that we're raised to. And at the end of the day, whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. And from a tribal individual to the youth, like, I'm the living, breathing, walking example of that, because I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it would not be for my community, my tribe supporting me through education, understanding that there's tremendous support and resources for us there if we kind of just wake up, realize, and take advantage of it. In addition to knowing that being part of Sunnyside Unified School District is an awesome, tremendous support. I laugh because being experienced and kind of working with multiple districts, I kind of coined the term of Sunnyside's small but mighty. We're maybe not as big as TUSD, but I feel that what I've observed over the 4 or 5 years I've been here, there's not too many districts that can compare really in regards to the support and strength of this district and what it's willing to do for us. And answer those calls whenever we're in need of support. And I think maybe that's, goes to it being so small. We have that luxury of, knowing everyone, seeing everyone, having such a tight community, just very similar to our tribal communities. But know that these are tremendous resources. You are not alone. All you have to do is ask. And I think that's the biggest struggle, is just finding that voice to ask. A lot of us are afraid to ask, but don't be afraid. Be curious. Open doors and look to your mentors. Look to those that we have at sites assigned to support you all. Because if I can do it, anyone can do it, to be honest with you. A lot of my friends and buddies growing up, kind of trip out and laugh that I'm in this role in education where, we grew up and they would have never thought I was going to be the scholar, the educator that I've grown into, as well as being kind of that tribal lead. And a lot of times, by no means am I, involved in a lot of the cultural activities, because as you get to know our students and, individuals within the communities, there's that extra layer of, not only being tribal, but also being in tune to the culture and having that kind of layer to you. But as an individual that's in and out of the communities, that's learned a lot, it can be done. And I've met a lot of awesome tribal indigenous individuals that are championing future scholars, future careers, future leaders that they're just waiting. They want us, there's opportunities left and right, so don't miss out.
Yeah, I think we may need to have a part 2 here. I mean, you're talking about, what are you hiding here, Mr. Gastelum? Were you a little travieso, a little troublemaker when you were young?
No, never much, but I hung out with a group of traviesos I learned from their mistakes.
That's
that was
right. I share, very similar sentiments, in terms of, It's funny when you run into people from the past, and everybody has a different journey, right? Everybody takes a different road and end up where they end up. And some people have been very successful, and then there's some people that have some challenges, right? And so I've gotten a little bit of that too in my role. I can't believe, I can't believe it, in the role I'm in. And so, we're very fortunate to have those experiences, and as you heard that, I want to message this to the youth out there, to our young ones out there, that as you mentioned, be curious, be courageous, you get help when you ask for help. Right. And so there's adults in this community. There's adults at all our sites that are here to serve students, and we're here for you. We're here for your experience as a student. And, it's we need to pull through. We need to follow through when someone reaches out for support. And that's what we're going to do, So please don't be afraid, and keep working hard. Some amazing things are happening. We have some amazing stories out there, and we want to continue, and we want to celebrate the amazing things that are happening in our communities. And so I want to thank you, Mr. Gastelum, for coming on the show and just sharing your wisdom and your thoughts, on what's going on here at Sunnyside and how we interact with our Native communities and how important they are to us. And so, again, families, thank you for trusting Sunnyside. Thank you for, sending us, your children and being part of that experience. And as you said earlier, I don't know if I can agree with if Sunnyside's small, but we sure are mighty, right? We're Sunnyside strong, and we are the second largest school district still in southern Arizona, and we want to continue to grow it. We're a gem here on the south side of Tucson, and
right.
And our bubble is strong, and our community is definitely strong, and that's what makes us strong. It's the people, right? It's the people that make this community. And we have some beautiful people in this community, and we want to continue to grow it. And we're doing it for the next generation. We're doing it for these young students that are up and coming, and because they're the ones that are going to lead us in the future.
Right.
And so thank you for all you do. And, you heard it here. If you want more information, visit our website. You can look up Mr. Gastelum there and his team. If you want to take a tour of our schools, hit us up. We're here to make sure that you're comfortable with your decisions. And lastly, thank you for choosing Sunnyside. And this definitely concludes this episode of Somos Sunnyside. Hasta la próxima.
Adios.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it entertaining. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share our podcast with la comunidad. For updates on future episodes and more, be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website at susd12.org. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back for the next episode. Hasta la próxima vez en Somos Sunnyside.